All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another edition of the Uber Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. How's everyone doing tonight? Doing pretty good. Before we jump into the topic, what are we smoking? What are we drinking? From Oscar Valdez, the Superfly. Very interesting cigar, Connecticut wrapper. Great draw. Oscar Valdez really does make some of the best cigars that I like out there. Very good stuff. Love them. What are we drinking? No beer. My Christmas gift. Some Monkey Shoulder. I got this bottle for Christmas. I've been enjoying it. Not the best. I had this cool banana flask, and that's why the family wanted to get it for me, because it looked kind of cute, looked kind of fun. It's a nice, nice Scotch whiskey. Not bad. Am I going to buy another bottle of it? No, probably not, but I have been enjoying it. Tasty. So what are we talking about today? As the video implies, let's talk about dinks and silks. I had to shoot this video actually a little bit out of order because I want to respond. I've been seeing this DINK movement. If you're not familiar, a DINK, which again, a lot of people are kind of laughing at. My generation would use that as kind of a slam to someone. To kind of call them a DINK was actually a bad term to use against someone. So I'm getting chuckling right off the bat. It stands for double income, no children. So it's basically this movement in the, what are they called, Gen Alpha, or whatever gen we're up to now, the new generation that is choosing to forgo having kids. They're getting married, having two incomes, and yeah, they're being proud of it and happy about it. Makes me want to vomit. I, on the other hand, prescribe to the silk. Single income, lots of kids. If any of you guys have been watching the channel, you know I have 6 kids with a 7th on the way. And as I kind of talked about in a couple of videos, for almost the entirety of my marriage, I've been the only one who's had a job. When we first got married, we both had jobs. My wife was working at a victims shelter with victim resources and housing people who were the victims of domestic violence, and I was working as a paramedic. Shortly after we got married, though, my wife got pregnant, and certain things kind of were eye-opening. If your significant other ran away, they would stake out this shelter looking for their loved one that ran away. So there would be people hanging just outside the parking lot. The building was not very secure. Thank God my wife never had any run-ins with people wanting to do her harm, but the risk was there. So I made the decision, and my wife concurred, that it was best for her not to work there anymore. And so she didn't. She became a stay-at-home mom while I worked as a paramedic. And for a large part of our lives, that's how it was. My wife did get some part-time jobs here and there as a substitute teacher. She taught English as a second language. She also taught college courses, but they were always very, very part-time. But for the majority of our marriage, we lived off my income as a paramedic. So it was not great income. We love children. Clearly, we're having 7. 7th one is on the way. So, we definitely enjoy having children. We love having children. So we fall under the silk. Single income, lots of kids. Which I firmly believe is the best way to live. Having the wife stay at home to raise the kids while the man goes out and makes a living. Now, again, you can switch that over. One parent should stay at home, one parent should go make a living. I firmly believe that it is the wife who should stay home with the kids. Well, let's talk about this new movement, this DINK movement. Watched a couple little TikTok videos, some short YouTube videos about these DINKs, talking about how their life is so much more fulfilled because they have all this extra money because they don't have to spend it on kids, or let kids dictate their plans, or do what they want when they want. One, it sounds very sad to me. These people are leading desperate, sorry lives. And I'm going to go on a limb here and say 80 to 100% of them will eventually realize the folly of their ways and realize that they done screwed up, that they could have had something wonderful and something meaningful, done something meaningful with their life. That's what it used to be about, doing something meaningful with your life. And they're not. I've never had anyone on their deathbed while dying tell me their one greatest regret is they wish they would have had made another $1,000. They wish they'd have put more money in their 401k. They wish they would have went to Florida. No, it's usually, I wish I could spend more time with my grandchildren. I wish I could repair friendships that I had. It's interpersonal relationships. I wish I could have been a better father, a better mother. I've never had anyone tell me, I wish I would have maxed out my 401k. I wish I would have bought better myself the snacks I want. That's some of the things the DINKs were saying. That they can buy the snacks they want. Spoiler alert, I buy the snacks I want. My kids like the snacks they like because they're the ones I like. I'm sure, do they ask to get some snacks that are special to them because they think they'll like them? Yeah, and we get them. Sometimes they find some old gems, some diamonds in the rough, some good snacks. So I don't really get how that's something that you can be proud of. The DINKs talked about they can just leave parties. They don't have to use their children as excuses. It's called being an adult. You can just leave. I've never used my kids as an excuse. If I'm going to go to a party, normally I have a babysitter. Or made arrangements for my children, and I leave when I want to leave. So I don't really understand that one. Plus, going to parties gets old. And it's sad because what's going to happen is these people are going to get into their 30s, and then the clock is ticking for a lot of them. Realize that spending their youth partying is just not where it's at. I had many friends I graduated high school with who are just now, I've been out of high school for 20 some odd years, just now thinking, well, I'm going to start my family. I could not imagine starting a family right now. And a lot of you are like, well, wait a minute, you're technically starting a family by having another kid. Yeah, true, but I've got, 4 older children who are all very self-sufficient, can help with projects around the house. I talk about this. We have force multipliers is what I call my kids. I can give them a task and it will get done. We tell people what we do in a weekend, and a lot of people don't believe it. They refuse to admit or acknowledge that, yeah, we got all these different things done in a weekend. But, if you can trust your kid to, hey, I need you to start crushing berries to make jam. And the next kid start boiling them, and the next kid prep the canning bath. Projects in and by themselves would take, 30 minutes each, are now all done in only 30 minutes. So am I really starting from scratch again, having my 7th kid? No. I got one kid who's going to be out of the house here the next year and a half. Sure, but he's old enough to take care of his brothers and sisters. He's old enough to help out around the house. He's old enough to do projects. So these DINKs will, like I said, I think 80% of them minimum will regret it. Yeah, sure, being able to go to Florida, that's cool, I guess, but who are you sharing it with? Yourself? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. But now you take a kid to Florida and you see the wonder and joy in their eyes. My children always amaze me, and all children do, about how they experience the world. And they share that experience with you. My daughters, I talked about a few videos ago, they're talking about, how their friends are thinking about expanding their business. And their viewpoint on it was just amazing, something I never would have thought of. I enrich my kids' life, and my kids enrich mine. I've had some amazing experiences because of them. More experiences and more deep and impactful experience than I think I ever would have gotten just going to Florida on a whim, which apparently these dinks do all the time. Sadly, and I do know quite a few dinks, and I talk to them, why aren't you having kids? Well, there's so many experiences I want to have first. That's one that's just infuriating. There's so many experiences I want to have first. Okay, well, when are you going to do it? You going to do it this weekend, next month, next year, 10 years from now? The one lady I talked to at work, there's so much I want to do. Okay, well, when are you going to do it? Well, but first I have to. Okay, no, but first. This is a hard lesson we're teaching our kids. No, but first. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do these adventures. Wouldn't matter if you had a kid or not. You're not going to go on these grand epioso adventures across the world. And if you do, great. You've no one to share that with. You have no one cares about your vacation story. I've never once sat back and wanted to hear the perspective of a grown adult of what they thought of going to, France. Because all grown adults have the same experience. Now, listen to a kid talk about their experience, to even going to like something as simple as Chuck E. Cheese's. And the animation, the joy, the wonder, it makes you get lost in it. They share their world with you. And people enjoy that. I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing from kids about what they've done and what they're doing. And that is remarkable. That's markable. That's amazing. But yet you have these people who, they just go by themselves? What do you do? Is it just one big long bender where you drink yourself into a stupor? You sleep away the day because you can? My kids honestly got me to do more than I think I ever would have done. They wanted to start this farmer's market business. And it's been so amazing and exciting. Now, I never really wanted to start a farmer's market business. It's not my cup of tea. I don't believe you can make good money doing it. I know you can't, but the experience with them to do that, it's been amazing. We went to a video game convention. Now, granted, I've went to others before, but kind of grown out of them. It's mostly just hype, right? It's just about trying to sell that new video game and whatnot. But then I take my kids, and I see the wonder and joy in their eyes. It's an experience that you can't get from TikTok. It's an experience you can't get from reading a book. It's an experience you won't get at the bottom of a bottle. So these dinks are missing out. We're not made to be soul creatures. I mean, for these dinks who, I'm not religious, of course, I'm guessing, probably are staunch believers in evolution, they're taking themselves out of evolutionary processes. Interesting. Clearly, they don't understand economics and societal issues, because you find out that once birth rates start declining, horrible things happen. If we don't maintain a steady number of population, The society as a whole collapses. So they're definitely not doing it because they care about their fellow man. And it's just a very sad way to live, to not put someone else first. What's the reward in that? What's the reward in always putting everyone else second? I mean, you're not making the world a better place. That's for sure. You're definitely not doing better for your fellow man. You're not raising the next generation to be and do better. You're just skating along, going to parties, I guess, and getting drunk on the beaches of Florida. Seems kind of dumb and lame. Meanwhile, I'm raising children who will be better than their father and mother ever were. They're smart. They're nice people. They're kind. They're compassionate. They have interests that are nothing like mine. But I've been enjoying exploring those interests and seeing that world with them. That's an adventure. That's fun. That's something to look forward to. Just trying to figure out what party you're going to go to next? Lame. You're going to fill your life with basically just material goods? I mean, you're basically a materialist at that point. Focusing on your 401k, your money. Spoiler alert, stuff doesn't matter. You have a vehicle that can get you from point A to point B? Great. Is it the newest, greatest, bestest model? Who cares? Still runs, still works. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, because we've only had one income, we had to live frugally. Only buy stuff that we needed. If we did have a want, we wanted to make sure that we were going to definitely use that want. As I talked about, we bought our kids a PS5. It doesn't just sit in a corner gathering dust. The kids use it. They use it a lot. But I knew a DINK couple who did the 30-day giving challenge. For 30 days straight, they gave away something from their house. And, you know, they said they felt good doing it, but at the end of the 30 days, they realized their house was still full of crap. Stuff they bought to fill that empty void in their hearts. To fill that missing. Now, I do understand some people can't have kids, and my heart really breaks for them. But to choose not to, it's horrifying. You're missing out. You're not doing the world a service, you're doing a disservice. That happiness won't last. Yes. Is it hard to live with one income when you have 6 kids? Right now, my wife actually went and put herself on sabbatical from both of her jobs. Or from her professor's job. She's not working. She probably won't be for almost 6 months. We're going to be living off my income again. Is it going to be tough? Yeah. Are we not going to be able to buy the newest widget or go out to eat on a whim? No. But who cares? If your life is only defined by the things you can buy, what a sad life that actually is. That's pretty hollow and meaningless, in my opinion. And trust me, even these DINKs, they're going to pretend to be someone's mom or dad. And I've seen it all the time. You know, they don't want to have kids, but they'll be like the aunt and uncle everyone likes. Well, no, you're not. A lot of us just put up with you. They're my kids. They're not yours. yeah, well, my kids are nice and we'll play with you and have fun with you, but at the end of the day, they're not your kid. You're not like a second parent or the cool aunt or uncle. You're the weird aunt or uncle. You can't relate with them. I can relate with my nieces and nephews because I've had kids their age. My kids relate with them. And it always kills me when these dinks think they can give you parenting advice. Sorry, sweetheart. You took yourself out of the gene pool. That also means you can't tell me how to raise my kids because you have no experience in this matter. Again, it's not something you can learn in a book. You can't read in a book and then all of a sudden you are a parenting expert, but a lot of these dinks think they are. And it's sad. And honestly, I highly doubt both people in the dink relationship are honestly not wanting children. My guess is one of them is adamant about not having kids, when the other one secretly does, but they like the person, so they'll go along with it. But it won't be long before they realize the folly of their ways, how much they screwed up. A couple of dinks I know who got divorces, it was because the other person wanted to have kids. And even though they said before that, well, no, they're great having two incomes, all this freedom, all this fun, they were lying. And they still do lie. I have never met a couple who both people 110% did not want kids. If you think you are in that relationship and your partner is on the same page as you, they're lying to you. It's our instinctual primal being that wants to have kids, that wants to pass on our genetic information, wants to raise the next generation to be better. So to take yourself out of that equation makes no sense whatsoever. And you're probably lying to yourself. Is it hard to have kids? Yes. It is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. Oh, my battery died. I thought that was going to happen. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't face that challenge. Life is hard in general. So to just pull yourself out of that equation, it's not fruitful. You're not going to find true happiness by just buying stuff. You find true happiness by making interpersonal connections with your children. I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me. Maybe I'll get some of my first hateful comments. I can't wait. Should be exciting. But yeah, as a silk, someone who lived on one income, I had lots of kids. I'm happy. I do what needs to be done. We get what we need, and we get a lot of what we want too. And when we do go do something fun, we enjoy it more because we've earned it. So I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing how my life would be better if I didn't have kids. I'm not seeing how someone else's life is better because they don't. I know a lot of people who don't have kids from their own choosing. Their lives kind of suck, if I may be bluntly honest. You listen to them talk about, what did you do this weekend? Oh, nothing. Laid in my bed. Watched Netflix. Caught up on some reading. Wow. Yeah, it's a good thing you don't have kids because they would have held you back from doing that, right? Or they get you off your ass and you go do an adventure. Have some fun. That's more what's probably would happen if you had kids. You would actually go out and do stuff. You would live. You'd have adventures. You'd have fun. Because what you're doing now is just existing, and it's really sad. And lying to yourself and say, well, you're going to have kids, but first I want to have some adventures. Have them with your kids. It'll be more meaningful, more impactful, and the stories will live on long after you're dead. Trust me, when I'm dead, my kids are still going to share stories about, staying in the murder hotel, the time we played Dungeons and Dragons when the power went out. I mean, my great-great-grandchildren will probably hear those stories, just as I tell my grandfather's stories. Or tell the stories that I heard that I was told that my great-great-grandfather told my grandfather. My great-grandfather, there we go. Told my grandfather that, then he passed down to me. My stories will live on long past when I'm dead. My adventures will live on. And my genetic information will move on. And I truly believe I'm leaving the world in a better place by having kids, because I'm raising them right. So DINKs, what are you going to leave behind? A 401k? Some shitty car that we sold in an estate sale that no one really shows up to because no one knows you? Heartbreaking regret that you're too old now to have kids? Adopting a kid when you're 50 because, you finally realize that your life is meaningless because you defined it with stuff? I want to know, what are you leaving the world by not having any kids? And trust me, it does not get easier the more money you have. And it does not get easier the older you get. As a good friend of mine, a fellow medic, said, if you have $10 in your bank account, you have kids, you're going to spend $10 on that baby. If you have $5,000 in the bank account, you're going to spend all $5,000. The amount of money you have doesn't matter. You don't need enough money. You just need love. Love yourself. Love your kids. And do something that's more than just the things you can buy. Trust me, I've been around a lot of dead and dying people. Never once have I ever heard someone say, I just really wanted to own the newest model Tesla before I died. Or some Lululemon pants. Never once. That's stuff, money. No one ever complains about not having that when they die. But wishing they had better relationships with people, that I hear all the time. Food for thought, DINKs. There's a Silch response. You're losing out. One day you're going to wake up and realize you done messed up. Let that day be tomorrow so you can make up and start gaining ground you've lost. Because otherwise, it'll slip past you. Anyway, folks, stay safe out there. See you on the next one.